Creating a wedding timeline is a must for every couple. In this video, I'll share the 5 mistakes I see couples make when it comes to planning out the timeline for the day. Avoid these mistakes and you'll save yourself a lot of stress. Plus, you'll get more out of your day because you won't be wasting your valuable time on dealing with the repercussions of just not knowing these 5 things. The first mistake is choosing a getting ready location that is too far from the ceremony and reception location. So you may Google the locations and think, well, they're only 20 minutes apart from each other, so this should work. No, not if you're getting married in a city. 1 to 2 miles is my maximum suggested distance from getting ready location to ceremony and reception. In fact, I'd recommend keeping everything within walking distance if possible. The second mistake I see is when couples do choose locations that are more than a few miles apart and they also do not hire professional transportation. Instead, they rely on rideshare or plan to drive themselves or rely on a friend to drive. Here's the issue with rideshare. Sometimes there are literally no drivers in your location available to pick you up and bring you to your destination. Other times there are drivers, but there are longer wait times and higher prices for the client. We've seen prices go so high that it actually would have been the same price to hire a professional car and driver. Driving yourself is also never a good idea. You seriously don't have the time to waste on parking. Plus, you are more distracted than you'll ever be on your wedding day. Hiring a friend could work, but it has to be a friend that isn't gonna be at the wedding, which is gonna be a little harder to find. And they need to be familiar with the area and really reliable. The third mistake is underbooking the photographer on the front end of the day. Here's what every photographer needs. A half hour for details like your invitation suite, your dress, all those cute little details that you want in your album. A half hour for finishing touches like your first look with dad, your reveal with your bridesmaids, your mom buttoning up your dress. A half hour for a first look, a half hour for wedding party pictures, a half hour for family pictures, another half hour if you want extended family pictures like the ones with your aunts and your uncles and everybody. And then you also need a half hour of downtime for the photographer so they can get ready for the ceremony or catch some pictures of the event spaces before guest arrival. So that's 3.5 hours before the ceremony even begins. That's if you're having a first look. If you're not having a first look, then your couple pictures, your full wedding party pictures, your couple with the family pictures are going to have to happen after the ceremony. So you can have your photographer arrive a little bit later because you're not having those pictures or the first look. But you still need to make up for those pictures somewhere or decide that you're not getting them. I suggest adding in some time for family and wedding party pictures with just either the bride or the groom or either person. And then after the ceremony, you can get the remaining pictures as a couple and also schedule some time for steal away pictures. So the steal away pictures allow you to get the pictures of just the two of you in whatever locations you want, but it's gonna be during the cocktail hour or wherever the guests are during that time. In that case, when you don't have a first look and you're doing half of the wedding party and family pictures before and half after, you can take away about an hour for the photographer. So you still have them come early, but 2.5 hours before the ceremony instead of 3.5 hours before the ceremony. The fourth mistake is finishing hair and makeup services too late. As a rule of thumb, every person receiving services should have their hair and makeup fully complete a half hour before the photographer even gets there. Sometimes there are obstacles related to this, so sometimes the getting ready location opens later in the day and the time for the hair and makeup is really limited. Sometimes the clients say they don't want or need everyone ready as early as them because they want some pictures with just them alone first. But here's the thing. No one wants to be photographed formally or informally without hair and makeup. So people get anxious when the photographer arrives. They feel like, oh my gosh, the photographer's here, so we should be finished, and we're not. And not only does the wedding party feel that anxiety, but the hair and makeup artists feel it too. And when they feel rushed, it rubs off on the photographer. Not to mention that sometimes hair and makeup does run behind. They can get stuck in traffic and get a late start. Sometimes someone in your wedding party can ask for them to redo a service or fix a hairstyle or modify something. If you don't allow for some wiggle room, hair and makeup can be the reason that you show up late for your ceremony and lose time at your reception. This has happened, y'all. The other problem is that even if we can rush things so you are not late, you lose time with the photographer if hair and makeup are late. Why pay the photographer to sit around and watch hair and makeup happen? Getting ready photos take no more than a half hour. So if your photographer gets there and hair and makeup doesn't finish for another hour or two, Why is your photographer there? A photographer's time is not cheap, and spending it on hanging out with you and your wedding party is probably not the best use of your money. So to avoid this mistake, have everyone who is receiving hair and makeup services finish by a half hour before the photographer arrives. And the fifth and final timeline mistake I'm sharing today is not having an exit plan. As you plan your day, consider how you want to end the reception. We have a video on special exit ideas that you can watch here, but you don't have to do anything flashy. If you want to skip the confetti and the sparklers, no problem, but still decide how you'll walk out the doors of your reception. Allow the photographer to know this plan so they can plan for pictures. Even if you were just riding up in the elevator or walking over to an after party with friends, this is the end of your wedding day story, and it should be considered just like the other parts of the day. Maybe you want your story to end with you in the middle of the dance floor with the venue turning down the lights and the MC saying you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. That's fine. But if your vendor team has a heads up, we can make that happen in the smoothest way possible. I hope this video is going to help you avoid those common timeline mistakes. Thank you for watching our channel, and happy wedding planning.